The following episode contains a story talking about domestic violence. If you feel that you are in an abusive relationship, you can call the National Abuse Hotline at 1-800-799-7233. They are available 24 hours a day and 7 days a week. Listeners' discretion is advised.
What do you do when your life takes a dark turn and you find yourself in a situation that feels impossible to escape? For Danielle Young, the answer was to transform from a survivor into a thriver. After enduring years of domestic abuse, including a near fatal incident just weeks after giving birth, Danielle faced the daunting task of rebuilding her life from the ground up. Despite the failures of the justice system and the challenges of being stalked and harassed by her abuser, she took matters into her own hands and found the strength to create a new life across the country with her supportive husband and children. Today, as a master certified life coach and trauma-informed yoga teacher, Danielle empowers other women who have faced similar struggles. Join me on this episode of Life Chat, the Resilience Podcast, as I explore Danielle's journey of resilience, healing, and empowerment.
Sometimes life gives us lemons. Sometimes it gives us lemonade. Other times it gives us something entirely out of left field that makes us say, WTF. But no matter what obstacles come, there is most often a way out on the other side, and we are once again victorious. My name is Dr. Rowe, and you are listening to my podcast about resilience. Every guest shares a tragedy to triumph story to give listeners like you the inspiration to push through every single day. Listen now as my next guest shares how they were life-jacked.
Hi, Danielle. Welcome. Thank you so much for being a guest on my show. How are you?
I am fantastic. Thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. So, Danielle, for those of the listeners out there who do not know you, can you share the moment you realized that you needed to leave your abusive situation?
Yeah, so there were many, many moments. It was like a culmination of moments, but the one specific time that I knew I was going to leave, like I had thought about this beforehand, but it never really seemed real, like I actually could leave because I had tried to leave several times prior than when I did. But the one moment, I was about 7 months pregnant, and I was working 3 jobs to try to keep a roof over our head, food on the table, and the lights on. And my ex was not really a stand-up citizen. I mean, he was in and out of jobs. He didn't really hold down very well. He was not working at the time, so everything kind of fell on me. And my doctor told me that my blood pressure was at heart attack level. I'm recovering from preeclampsia, and I needed to just take a break. She said, you need to stop. You have got to rest, and I'm very, very close to putting you on bed. So I said, okay. I went home after I told him this, and he looked at me, and I remember this plain as day. He looked at me and he said, I'm sure your doctor didn't really say that. You just want to be lazy. And
Wow.
yeah, it was in that moment that I remember just looking at him and thinking, I really hate you more than I have ever hated anyone in my life. And I said, well, I really don't care. I'm quitting my job because my life and our baby's life means more than anything else. So he didn't like that very much. And I told my mom, and I told her the situation, and we did not have a savings. I was working paycheck to paycheck. Every penny that I made went into just paying the bills. And so she bought us groceries one time. And it was food basically for me. I was eating as healthy as I possibly could afford at the time. And she brought in all of these groceries for us. And when she left, my ex, whom I call stupid, I'll just refer to him as stupid, went through the groceries and he was like, there's nothing in here for me. And I thought, well, no, it's my mom that bought the groceries and, they're mostly for me. And he told me that we are not allowed to have any food in the house that's not for him or that he doesn't eat. And that was when I said, I'm done. I know that I'm leaving you. And I didn't know how I was going to do it. And I didn't know when. But there was just this switch that had flipped. And I had reached the point of no return. And I basically, that night, I remember just sitting on the edge of the bed and just praying for whomever to hear me. Help me get out of this. Help me find a way to get away from him safely, and be done. And, well, it was a couple months later was the night that my daughter was 3 weeks old, and he tried to kill me. And that was when I was finally able to get out.
Wow. Very often, I mean, and I am a person who was in an abusive relationship as well, that no one knew that I was in an abusive relationship. And one of the things that's interesting that people ask, and I'm glad that you brought it up, is so like, why didn't you leave? And people don't understand that it's not an easy decision. It's just,
Right.
especially if you were pregnant. The very first time it happened to me in that relationship, I was unemployed. And so it's
Yeah.
not like you can just go, you know what? I'm just gonna leave and move on with my life. Like, it's a process. Can you kind of talk about
Right.
like, did you prepare yourself? How did you prepare yourself? What was your process like? Just to kind of get listeners to understand and even help women out there who are trying to figure it out. Like, they know they need to leave, but they just cannot make that step.
Yeah. So I was unemployed too. I had no money. I had nothing to my name. He did not let me have anything. He didn't like it when I worked, but he wanted me to work. And when I, was not able to work, I was lazy apparently. So, it was just this constant game with him. And I didn't really, I think that was probably the first time that I really sat down and just said, okay, I can go to my mom's if I need to, but I didn't want to because I had this, there's a lot of shame involved. And I was an adult and I was, going to have a baby, and I didn't want to have to say, oh, I had to move home. So it was totally mental in that aspect for me too. But I think at that point, when he tried to kill me, I ended up at my mom's actually that night. And that was the first time that I had felt safe. I was with my mom. I was in the home that I had lived in for years. And I knew that my daughter and I were safe there. And I just said, you know what? I don't care. I'm out. Like, I don't care what anyone else thinks of this. Like, I'm out. And then I went through a process after that of trying to just put one foot in front of the other. I went through like this depression, and, I was still in shock. I was physically injured. I was more than mentally injured. But I knew that I needed to put one foot in front of the other because I had now had a child. So that was really when I started making a plan for my life. It was after I left. But what I would say to people in this situation now is you have to make a plan before you leave, because the biggest issue with leaving is your safety. And if you've got children or even pets, you have to plan for a safe leave. So I always advise, get your own bank account, get things in your name. Even if you are able to work, start putting a little bit of money away, start selling things. Like I had to sell things for extra money. Enlist family and friends who are going to support you. And even if they don't know, tell them. They will find out eventually if they don't already know. Like my family did not know the extent of the abuse that I was going through, but they knew something was up. So chances are, no matter how hard you try to hide it, your family probably already knows something is up. Enlist family and friends for support. If you have to couch surf for a while, do it. Just make a plan, get yourself to safety is the number one thing that I recommend.
Now, I love that you said that sometimes the people around you or who are closest to you that are in tune with you, they actually know. They don't may not know exactly what's going on, but they know that
Right.
something is off, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's very interesting that you find out later, right? But you don't know that at the time, right? No one tells you at the time.
Right.
Which I hate that people don't do that. Like, and maybe it's odd, but maybe people are scared. What do you think? Like, why don't people tell you these things during the moment while you're going through it? They say it after the fact.
Well, in the case with my family is the one that is like everything stays within the family. No one talks about anything. And we're a very shame-based family. Well, we were a very shame-based family. You don't talk about your troubles. You don't air your dirty laundry. You don't go to therapy. You handle things within yourself. You stay stoic. It's just, that was what I had internalized. So I think a lot of it is with families, they don't know what to say. They don't know how to say it. And I think a lot of it too is, some families just are like, let them deal with their own stuff. They don't want to either get involved or, you know, it- every family is going to have their own dynamic. And then I know with my friend, my best friend was like, I didn't want to make you upset. I didn't want to say anything because I didn't know how you would react. Because for me, and it's been my experience that a lot of women who go through domestic abuse get very, very defensive because that's a shame-based reaction. If someone tries to say to us, oh, I see that you're going through this, we're like, no, we're not. Like, come on, no, everything's fine. We just try to justify it.
Denial. Yeah, the denial.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, we deny it and, no, because no one wants to be seen like that. No one wants to be seen as a victim. No one wants to hear, the lectures that are going to follow, like, well, why didn't you leave? All of the barrage of things that come at us from other people who have no idea, they don't have a frame of reference about what we've gone through.
No, absolutely. Well, Danielle, I just want to commend you and say I'm proud of you. I'm
Oh,
proud of
thank you.
you for having the strength to escape because it is very difficult and you did make a plan. And so I want to ask, and definitely for anyone who's listening, because it's incredibly hard to start over after a traumatic experience such as what you went through. So
Mhm.
how do you find the strength to basically start over and trust again because you are remarried? So what was
Mhm.
that process like?
Very long and arduous. Yeah. Uh, like I said, I didn't have a lot of strength in the beginning. I was really there were signs when I was so down and depressed that I did contemplate suicide. And I remember one night my daughter was asleep and I was looking at her and I thought, no, I cannot be this person. I'm not going to let someone else raise my daughter. She means me. That was the moment that I just made up my mind. No matter what I needed to do to provide for her and I was going to do that. Hopefully, I was able to live with my mom for a little while. I got another job. that paid really well. I was able to get my own apartment. And it was that feeling of like independence when I got my own apartment and, her and I moved in and, it was like, okay, this is mine. I don't have to share this with anyone. I'm doing this. And it just gave me that confidence to keep moving forward because I thought if I can do this, if I can get a job and I can make good money and I can have a savings. I remember I was so proud of myself because I was able to pay for her first birthday party all on my own. I didn't need anyone's help. I planned it, paid for it all. It was just those little things that were able to build confidence in me. It was the small things. And I put myself through college. I worked 2 jobs while trying to raise her and, did the whole college thing. And I met my husband, my now husband. And at first that was a little weird because I was like, okay, I had gone through like a revolving door of men before then because I'm like, I don't really know how to date. I don't know what a good man looks like. So I had to go through a few of them and have a few experiences to learn like, no, this is really not what I want. But I had newfound self-esteem. Like, no, I know what I don't want. And now I have this responsibility of being a mom, and the person who I bring into my house and bring into my life has to be a responsible adult whom I can trust with my daughter. So when I met my husband, I'm like, this is it. This guy is it. He was just the most gentle soul, and my daughter took to him right away. And I thought, okay, it took a little while for us to kind of move forward in our relationship. We were both very skittish because he had gotten out of a bad relationship too, and he knew my situation. So we sort of kept each other at an arm's distance, and it just flowed. Like it just felt right. He treated me really well. He loved my daughter like his own. So it was just really easy to move forward. And he was very supportive in my healing journey as well. And that for me was really, really important. And then, I just sort of moved on from there. I was introduced to yoga. That really helped. That was my first step in healing was yoga. Then I became a yoga a yoga teacher. And I became a massage therapist because I wanted to work with women who were domestic violence survivors to help them come back into their body. So I practiced trauma-informed yoga, did the massage therapy. I went through EMDR and just really started taking the steps to like figure out what my next step was. I knew that I needed to get rid of some stuff. And EMDR really, really helped. And then I was doing self-inquiry, which that was majorly transformative for me as well. And now I'm doing life coaching.
Love
So
it.
it was a culmination of everything that really led me where I am today.
No, that's awesome that you've been able to take your trauma and really use it and turn it into a triumph and to help others. And that is truly amazing. That is a special gift because although we go through these negative experiences in life, and some of those negative experiences really can take us down, but you didn't allow that. I mean, even though, like you said, initially you were down, right? And you were not in a good space. And I hope listeners understand that, that is okay to start there. But we don't want to stay there though, right? That's the key.
Right.
And that's part of, resilience. Although you've been life jacked because you were totally life jacked because that is not the relationship that you thought you would be in as you enter into the relationship. It's the relationship it turns into.
Yeah.
And so you were life jacked in that. But you showed an incredible amount of resilience, and that is just amazing. And so, like, I just commend you, Danielle. I really do. Now, I do want to talk about your experience with the justice system because you did have a stalker, you were being harassed. And this is the topic that a lot of women, including myself, and I did not experience this with an ex-husband, but I did experience the stalker situation in contacting the police. And I'm pretty sure you were told kind of similar to what I was told, where you gave this person access to your life. And I don't know if that's exactly what you've experienced, but that's what I was told. It's like, well, you're the one that gave that person access to you and to your home and your life. And I'm like, well, I didn't know the person was crazy until I found out they were crazy.
Right. Right.
Yeah. You feel like you were the problem. And so, please explain your experience with the justice system and how it impacted, because you were, at this point, you have left, you're trying to start over, and you're in your recovery process. So talk about that experience.
Yeah, so my experience with the justice system started the night that I was almost killed. I showed up at my mom's. I had blood all over the front of me. I'm carrying my 3-week-old baby, and the police, one police officer showed up, and he said to me, "Well, at least you're still alive." And I thought, yeah, that's helpful,
Oh, wow.
please enlighten me some more. And he took my statement, and I said, "So are you going to go arrest him?" And he said, "For what?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm covered in blood. I don't know if at this point, I didn't know if it was mine. I didn't know if it was his. I mean, I was in such a state of shock." And he said, "Well, I might go do a drive-by." And I thought, a drive-by. Okay. So he left. I thought, okay, I'm going to get nothing from that. And I ended up filing a domestic violence charge against my ex. And we went to court, and ultimately he ended up getting 26 weeks of anger management classes and a $25 fine. That was what my life was worth at that point. And we still have a child together, right? So even though I have gone through all of this with him, I have a domestic violence suit. They found him guilty. They've given him whatever this bogus, penalty was. I still had to share with him my address where I was living. He had to have my current phone number, and we had to go to parenting classes together. So this man and I tried to tell the judge and my lawyer, I said, "Look, this man tried to kill me. I am not having warm and fuzzy feelings about sitting next to him in a parenting class and sharing with him my current address. I'm not okay with this." And no one cared. They wouldn't give me a restraining order. And I thought, why are you not giving me a restraining order? And, and to this day, I still don't even know why they wouldn't give me a restraining order. They told me because you're not in immediate danger. And I thought, what kind of immediate danger do I need to be in? I've already been in immediate danger with this man. It was crazy. It was such a crazy time. And I thought, you know what? If the justice system won't help me, I'm all I have. And I refused to give him any information about me. So I would hear him. I mean, he already knew where my mom lived. So I would hear him at night drive by our house. He would call in the middle of the night. He would harass me. He would threaten to kill me. It was just all of this crazy stuff. And then when I moved out and got my own apartment, I did not tell him where I lived. And he did not have my current phone number. I thought, no, I do not want anything to do with you. And I had to give everything to the court because there was child support set up, which he ultimately didn't pay anyway. And I was actually questioned. And they were like, he's saying he doesn't know where you live. And I thought, well, yeah, no, he doesn't know where I live. I'm not giving him my address. And they were like, well, you're defying your court order. And I'm like, well, somebody come and arrest me then, because I'm not I'm not doing that. Thankfully, nothing happened, but yeah, it was just this constant, and I would, try to tell the police, like, hey, I would tell my lawyer, hey, he's still harassing me, he's still calling me. And he's like, well, there's really nothing we can do. He's not doing anything. He's not, in your face. He didn't break into your house. So, there's a lot of victim blaming going on with our justice system here in America. And really, there needs to be some reform with that. We need to be believed, that our lives are actually in danger, whether someone else chooses to believe that or not. And I just feel like I wasn't taken seriously at all. And I feel like a lot of women aren't taken seriously. And it's really sad.
No, absolutely. I agree with you. One of the things that I'm in the education system and being a former administrator of a school campus, and whenever students make threats, whether we believe that they will actually carry out the threat or not, we still have to do a threat assessment. Like that is part of our job. If you do not do a
Right.
threat assessment, we get to, reprimanded for it. And so it's amazing
Right.
that women are going to police officers who are supposed to serve and protect, right? We're going to the our justice system that's supposed to protect us. And we're saying we feel unsafe as citizens of this
Right.
nation, right?
Right.
That's the right that we have, is to go to law enforcement and to say, I don't feel safe, because everyone deserves the right to feel safe in their surroundings. But then to be
Right.
met with an attitude of something like, well, what do you want me to do about it? Or as you said, they don't listen to lots of women. And I think about the many, many women who try to do something to protect themselves, and now they are no longer here to this day.
Right. Yeah. And that's the sad part. The sad part in all of this is there is an incredibly high amount of women who are murdered because no one believed them and no one stepped in to stop it. And no one said, I believe you, I will help you, I will do whatever is in my power to help you. Our justice system is there to serve and protect us. And I have yet to really see that in action when it comes to domestic violence.
No, most definitely. Now, earlier you discussed a couple of the healing modalities that you explored, like yoga and other things. So could you kind of share, a few more of the healing modalities that work for you, and which ones really ultimately resonated with you the most?
Yeah, so I started off with traditional therapy. My lawyer suggested I try that, and it wasn't for me. I'm more action oriented. So I found a coworker actually introduced me to yoga, and that was such a game changer for me. It really helped me get back in touch with my body and, being able to just sit and breathe, because I up to this point was not breathing. I was just like shallow breathing, barely making it, through the day. I don't know how I lived. So yoga really gave me that. And then after yoga, I I did I did some EMDR. Self-inquiry training, or self-inquiry really was was the ultimate transformation thing for me. That really helped me challenge my thoughts, my limiting beliefs, and because all of the stuff that I just internalized over the years, self-inquiry helped me sort of get to the root of all of that and dig it up and get rid of it. I love yoga nidra and meditation. I remember my very first yoga nidra class, I released a major piece of trauma through the mind. I actually became a yoga nidra facilitator. And then I'm also learning somatic healing right now with doing, I didn't even know it was all healing, but now I have an own. I'm taking some classes to get somatic healing certified. This journaling and gratitude practice really helps me stay grounded. And journaling for me is like a brain dump. I just do it every morning. I get it out of my head, down on paper, and it's like I just have a clear thought, clear brain for the day. And then the gratitude practice, going through what I've been through has really taught me to just be grateful for every little. It could be something really small. Like I found this awesome pen. So I'm so grateful for this pen because I'm so happy every time I write with it. So I write my gratitude with this really nice pen. And I know it seems so silly, but really, the being grateful for the small things really helps you be grateful and notice the bigger things. So that's really what helps me when things start coming up to kind of go back to those basic practices.
Now, can you share kind of also like how your personal experience has shaped the way that you approach life coaching, especially for women who are overcoming trauma from past, abusive relationships or just overcoming any type of trauma?
Yeah, my experience with what I went through, I mean, it brings this level of empathy to my coaching. I've been there, I know what you're going through, and the little nuances of trauma recovery. I understand the fear and the self-doubt and, all of those invisible scars that are there long after the physical stuff heals. And I really try to root my coaching practice in compassion and empowerment. I really focus on helping women reclaim their sense of self, rewrite their story, become empowered and resilient, get rid of the limiting beliefs, rebuild the self-confidence and the self-esteem, and get into those mindfulness practices. So when things do come up, you can move past.
Can you talk about the importance of self-inquiry and meditation in the healing?
Yeah. So meditation was first. So I started doing meditation when I started doing yoga. It took me a really long time to just be able to close my eyes. And once I was able to do that, it was like I could calm the mental chaos. And later on, when I got better at meditating and just actually being able to sit and be still, that was when it was like I was having a conversation with my higher self and I would start getting all of these downloads. And that was really what gave me the ideas to move forward. I didn't think that I could pay my way through college, and I did. I put myself through college, and that was a download. Like go back to school. And even today, I get the download. So it's this conversation with my higher self, with with whatever you want to call it, universe, or I like to say my higher self. Self-inquiry, oh man, that really it really helped me challenge my thoughts and my limiting beliefs. So in self-inquiry, we take a negative thought. It could be a negative thought. It could be a limiting belief. And the very first question in self-inquiry is it true? Is this thought true? And it's a yes or no. So when those thoughts come up, very first thing I go to is this true? Yes or no? And if it's yes, I move on to, is it absolutely 100% true? Can I know that it's true? And that's a yes or a no. And so that really kind of puts things in perspective. Like, no, I'm being dumb. Like I'm having this thought and I don't even know if it's true or not. Perceptions dictate our reality. And self-inquiry really gets into those perceptions. And it's like, whoa, is this a perception or is this my reality? So that's why I love it so much, because we just question it. And it's like, no, this is perception that I'm having based on this limiting belief that I've had for 30 years, and I just don't need to do this anymore. Okay, we're gonna get rid.
Well, I love that. It's that self-inquiry process. So that's something I do in my resilience coaching with a lot of my clients. And it at asking, because we tell ourselves stories all the time.
Right.
And you really ask yourself, okay, do you know this to be true? You know, and you're right. It's very cool. It's either yes or no. It's not,
Yeah.
well, maybe it's either yes or no. Can you prove it?
Right.
Do you know it's true? No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because you can tell all kinds of stories and get yourself all twisted up.
Right. Yeah. And I noticed too, when I start to want to control other people in situations, that's when it steps in and I'm like, oh, could this person be acting like this? It's not up to me. You know, and self-inquiry leads me to that. Like, nope, I cannot own anyone else's stuff. What they do is over there. And I'm over here. And those two will not meet.
That is absolutely true. Now, how can individuals begin to change the narrative about themselves? Because that's hard, right? Because, like you said, there's a lot of victim blaming when you were in these relationships or you're trying to escape from these, situations. So, how can individuals change the narrative about themselves in relation to their past trauma and build resilience?
Yeah, so for me, changing the narrative starts with recognizing that you cannot drop anchor in victimhood. Your past does not define you. It's part of your story, but it doesn't have to dictate your future, right? You still have a lot of stories left to earn. And by reframing and forming new relationships with those experiences, instead of like focusing on the pain, honor the fact that you survived 100% of everything that you've ever been through. And that speaks volumes about your resilience. So just acknowledge the lessons that you've learned and ways that you've grown and use those as a way to learn the lessons and to grow. And then start small. Like resilience also requires action, right? So start setting small goals. And that will help you with regaining control over your life. So like every step forward, whether it's trying something new or saying no to something that doesn't serve you, it's a step towards rewriting your story and reframing what happened. And then healing is not linear. I mean, there will be ups and downs, but it's in those moments that those moments don't erase your progress. I think just showing yourself kindness and compassion reminds you that, you're not failing. This is just part of the process. And it's about getting back up. So if you don't see yourself as a victim of your past, but as the designer of your future, you reclaim your power and you can open the door to a life of.
I love that. We are the designers of our future, and we need to recognize that you cannot drop an anchor in victimhood. I love that.
Yep.
I love it. Thank you, Danielle. This conversation was such a powerful story of resilience and empowerment. Your journey is a testament to the strength of the human spirit and the importance of community support. By turning your trauma into a source of inspiration for others, you are truly lighting the way for women who need hope and guidance. So how can listeners find and connect with you?
Yeah, my website is probably going to be the best place to start. It is inspiredactionwellness.com. And I am on all of the social media platforms except for X. I don't have an X account. And let's see, I'm also on LinkedIn. And I think that's about it.
Any last words of encouragement for the listener?
Yeah, I will say if you are in this situation, if you're in an abusive situation, know that there is help available. You do not have to stay stuck in this situation. You are never stuck. There are loads of resources out there. In fact, I have some on my website. And just know that help is available and you are definitely not alone. And for someone listening who is in the aftermath of trauma, just know that you are so much stronger than you give yourself credit for. You have been through so much, and yet you keep going. And that is a testament to your strength. So just keep going. Don't give up.
Absolutely. Just keep going. Danielle, I appreciate your insights and the invaluable work you are doing to help others reclaim their lives. We look forward to seeing how you continue to make a difference in the lives of those who have faced adversity. Thank you for being with me on Life Jack, the Resilience Podcast. I wish you and your family nothing but blessings and abundance. Please take care.
Thank you so much.
Danielle Young, everyone. Be sure to join me next time for more uplifting stories and insights on resilience. Until then, keep pushing forward, embrace the journey, and remember that every setback can lead to a greater comeback. Dr. Rowe, signing off.